Back in February 2021, I discovered what an NFT was and got excited about the idea. I did my research, and the more I found out, the more appealing it sounded to me. Then in March of the same year, I bought 2 NFTs of Kings of Leon's latest album, When You See Yourself, on OpenSea.io. The fact that Kings of Leon was getting into the NFT space sounded even more exciting. I wouldn't say that I'm a hardcore Kings of Leon fan, but I like some of their songs. By holding an NFT of their album along with a vinyl sounded like a solid investment opportunity for me and my wife. Yes, I say investment because the purchase for me was driven more from a collectible investment standpoint rather than a die-hard fan. The sale of the NFTs was facilitated by a third party, a company called yellowheart.io. In the description of the NFTs, it was mentioned that along with the NFT, I would get the following: a digital album download, a limited edition NFT Golden Eye vinyl, and a digital collectible album artwork. I was specifically interested in getting the vinyls. I never owned one, and the idea of this being my first vinyl sounded very cool to me, almost historic, I would say. It was also mentioned in the description of the NFT that the redemption of the digital album along with the vinyls could be done through yellowheart.io after purchasing the NFT. So that's what I attempted to do, but the functionality for the redemption process was not technically ready at that point. I reached out to yellowheart.io in March 2021 immediately after purchasing 2 NFTs, but got no reply at that point. I waited a little bit and decided to reach out again in May 2021, this time through Discord, but I couldn't access it. Then I've written to them again, asking about the Discord server, whether it was down, because I could not access it. To which I received a reply from their CEO, Katz, saying, "Was hacked, we are working on it." I replied asking whether it would be possible to know when the new Discord channel would be up, but I did not get a reply to that. This was my first interaction with Josh, and I understood that they're having some problems at that moment, so I decided to give it more time. I signed up to their newsletter to stay up to date regarding the vinyls, and the wait had begun. Little did I know that this would be a 2-year journey to finally get my vinyls, but the waiting time was not the only issue. In July 2021, I received a newsletter type of email from Yellowheart saying that the vinyl redemption is here. But as I read through the whole email, it was also mentioned that within the next 30 days, international token holders will be able to redeem, but will be required to pay additional shipping charges upon redemption. As I was an international customer to them, I got a little bit disappointed because this meant more waiting time, but at least we got closer to the vinyls. After a month, I did not redeem the vinyls, other agendas caught my attention, and I simply forgot about it. And then me and my wife went on a vacation, and the whole thing just fell through the cracks. But whenever I recalled that I should check up on the redemption, I always knew that they would be there, because nowhere during the sale or in the newsletter was it mentioned that there was some sort of a deadline. Also, because I was trying to hunt them down for several months, I decided to let the idea go for some time because it was getting a bit annoying to constantly check on the status and not getting a result. Then 2022 came around and Russia attacked Ukraine, and since me and my wife are from Ukraine, our whole attention was dedicated to helping ourselves and our country to survive the attack from Russia. Vinyls were the last thing on our minds during that time. However, throughout the year, the situation with war got a little bit better, and we as a country started picking up the pace and getting back to life, at least as much as it was possible back then. And so when 2022 was coming to an end, I was just thinking about the whole year, sifting through things that happened, and I got to our investments. And then all of a sudden I remembered, the vinyls, let's see how they're doing. They must be ready for redemption now. This time I went to yellowheart.io, connected my crypto wallet, filled out the shipping information, but as I clicked calculate shipping, it gave me an error. I couldn't proceed with the redemption further, and that is where the real saga began. That was December 2022. I had written one email to their customer support on December 9th, no reply. Another one on December 12th, still no reply. Another follow-up email on December 13th, still nothing. I started getting irritated at that point, so I decided to try their Twitter and Telegram on the same date. December 14th, I tried their Discord. Silence. Then I got a bit worried because it seemed like the company was dead with no activity whatsoever. Finally, after another follow-up on Telegram, I get a reply from Thomas Emanuel, their chief product officer, and he informs me that the redemption period has ended and that he's currently on vacation and would be able to reply to me in January 2023. I was shocked because I did not know about any deadline. I was never informed about one, as I have mentioned to you before, so I have just sent him a screenshot of the error message. He read it, and then we did not communicate until January 2023. So January 4th, 2023 comes around, still no word from Thomas, so I decided to ping him to see whether he could still help me. I followed up again on January 5th, and Thomas finally replies, but with a very confusing yet at the same time astonishing message saying that they're in the final rounds of redemption in January 2023, and he's asking me whether I went to yellowheart.io. And I'm like, Thomas, I wonder whether you have read my previous message, because if you had, then clearly you wouldn't be asking me whether I went to yellowheart.io or not. After Thomas's message, I understood that this is going to take a lot of time, so I just referred him to my original message and asked him what I should do next. Thomas did not reply for a whole week, but by just observing the pattern of our communication with Thomas, I understood that he's clearly not interested in helping me. I just decided to move on and go straight to the founder of Yellow Heart, Josh Katz, the guy that I was referring to at the beginning of this video. I completely forgot that I had his email information from our abrupt correspondence back in 2021, so I started looking for ways to contact him even though I had his information at hand. I went on LinkedIn, bought a premium subscription so that I would be able to message Josh Katz directly with an email, and I simply explained the whole situation and how I was upset with their customer support. To my surprise, he replied very quickly, and his initial response was very nice and apologetic. He promised to send the vinyls from his personal collection because, as he stated, the redemption had been closed for quite a while. He also asked for my mailing address. I provided him with one, and I did not hear from Josh for 6 days, even though I did 2 follow-ups to make sure that that was all the information he needed from me. In order not to spell out the whole conversation with Josh Katz, I'll put it this way. The days turned into weeks and the weeks turned into months. I started my conversation with him on January 6, 2023 and finished on February 12, 2023. The most horrible part about our communication with Josh was that he replied once every 2 to 3 weeks saying that I'll get the vinyls, or that I only have 1 vinyl instead of 2, or that I shouldn't email him so often because he's doing me a favor. At that point, I understood that Josh poorly treats his customers, and this reflects on how his employees treat customers as well. As I have mentioned to you guys before, that I attempted to contact them through multiple channels of communication, but was mostly ignored. I started losing hope that getting the vinyls was possible at all, and so I did some research to see perhaps other customers were in the same situation as I was. And unfortunately, there were. I found multiple complaints on their Discord channel from customers saying that they did not receive the product they paid for. I also found negative reviews on Trustpilot saying that they did not receive the product from Yellow Heart as well. I figured, well, maybe if all of the people who suffered in this situation would get together, there might be something that we could do about it. But as I started reaching out to those people, I mostly either did not get a reply, or they were just too exhausted from the whole situation and did not want to proceed further with it. Prior to getting such feedback from the victims, I was contemplating a class action lawsuit against Yellow Heart, but after further consideration, I just dropped the idea. Communication with the customers was done in parallel while I was communicating with Josh Katz. I also did some research on government institutions within the US that regulate such violations, and I managed to find one called Federal Trade Commission, or at least that's the one I thought that could help me. But as I did more research on their procedure, I understood that I would not be able to get the vinyls through them because they operate on a collective complaint basis and they prioritize the cases based on the level of importance. In other words, if a company is getting complaints from customers to the Federal Trade Commission, then the Federal Trade Commission would send their profile to the local authorities where the company is registered, and then the local authorities would decide on how and when to pursue this case. Furthermore, because I've communicated with customers that got scammed by Yellow Heart and those customers did not want to take further actions against Yellow Heart, I assumed that there were no prior complaints on Yellow Heart through the Federal Trade Commission. So I dropped that idea and went on to the next one, which was communicating with OpenSea.io. I figured that because OpenSea was the platform where the sale took place, they would be able to help out at least in some way. But to my another disappointment, they just replied to me that OpenSea is a peer-to-peer marketplace. In other words, an intermediary between the customer and the seller, and if the customer has a particular problem with the seller, they should communicate directly with the seller regarding that problem. And so I replied to them asking why do they have a report button on their platform in the first place. I also asked why do they have verified badges that they give out to sellers. Isn't this done for the purpose of safety and security of the user? And if a particular seller is a fraud, then why do OpenSea keep them on their platform? Guess what? To all these follow-up questions that I asked them, they replied nothing till this day. Just wash themselves clean from the whole situation. A big thumbs down to you, OpenSea. This is definitely not a long-term approach that will give you credibility and trust from your users. Back then, I understood that I would not be getting my vinyls through the founder of Yellow Heart, Josh Katz. I would not be getting them from OpenSea, and neither would I get them through the Federal Trade Commission. I might be able to get them from a personal lawsuit, but that would take a lot of time and expenses. So I needed a more viable solution. Unfortunately, the emotions took over me and I put an ultimatum to Josh Katz saying that either he sends me the vinyls or I will be complaining to Kings of Leon, and if that doesn't help, I will file a lawsuit against him. At the time as I was saying that to him, I still considered the lawsuit to be one of the options, but subsequently Josh said that I was threatening him and he said that he will not send me the vinyls. Our conversation has ended. From that unpleasant interaction with Josh, I did realize that I have one more viable solution, and that is to contact Kings of Leon directly, which to be frank was no small feat to deal with considering their fame and how difficult it would be to reach them through all the gatekeepers and even have my message to them be noticed. I'm not going to go into the details of how I managed to reach their management, but after weeks of research and phone calls, I finally managed to do that. And here I was writing another email to them explaining the whole saga that was 2 years in length. As I was done writing the email, I clicked send, and within 16 minutes, I got a reply. I was literally in shock that I managed to reach their management because first of all, it was such a long ride in general, and secondly, it took me weeks of work to get their information. Plus, the chances of getting a reply were very little, and I wasn't even sure if they would bother to care, to be honest. But they did. And that was extremely pleasant. They said that they felt my pain and that they would make things right. And they did. You see, unlike Josh Katz, who was also very apologetic at first and promised to make things right, Kings of Leon's management stuck to their word and I received the vinyls. Kings of Leon and their management trusted that Yellow Heart would diligently execute the sale, but that did not happen. And furthermore, Yellow Heart did not return the vinyls back to Kings of Leon and their management so that at least they would be able to fix the mess that Josh Katz and Yellow Heart created. Another key difference in my communication with Kings of Leon's management in comparison to Josh Katz and Yellow Heart was that I was updated on the progress by Kings of Leon's management. They said that they needed more time or they were working on it, unlike Josh Katz, who said, "Don't write to me so frequently," and got irritated. Anyhow, that was my experience with OpenSea, Yellow Heart, and Kings of Leon's management. I decided to create this video so that you guys are aware that if you ever decide to deal with Yellow Heart or OpenSea, you might be disappointed and spend a lot of time getting what you paid for. I hope this video reaches as many people as possible so they would not get into the same trap with Yellow Heart as I did and as dozens of other customers did. I also need to mention that because Kings of Leon's management don't have any more vinyls in stock, they would not be able to help other people the way they helped me. I just got a bit lucky in this regard. But they told me if you were one of the victims of Yellow Heart, then please keep an eye out on future experiences with Kings of Leon because they would be able to provide you some form of compensation for the vinyls once the experience takes place. Simply reach out to whoever might be the point of contact for a particular Kings of Leon experience in the future and explain your situation. They might be able to help you with that. Also, keep in mind that you might need to provide proof that you do own an NFT of their album. That's it, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Take care.